Hello noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking. Today we have a big collaboration video. In this video we will be talking about the 1981 film Excalibur. There will be many questions asked and many answers given. We managed to gather a big group of YouTubers for this collaboration, so if you're curious and want to see who participated, please consider watching the video until the end. Also, keep in mind that this is only part 1. You will find in the description the links to all the other parts in my YouTube colleagues' channels, where you will find many other questions and answers, and I will appear in all other videos. Please consider following the links in the description, and while you're at it, check out these other historical YouTubers' channels, as they have got great content. Let the story begin.
Once upon a time, there was a manly man.
We're men, manly men, we're men in tights.
No, that's enough of that. Oh no, where was I? Oh yes, this man, Antony Cummins. He did not understand one of the greatest medieval-based movies ever made, Excalibur. But he had a plan.
For this, we need the Medieval Mythbusters. I'm in Wales, but I need to call them, so I'm going to use the Shoe of Calling. Oh my god! Sex in armour? Are you mad? The Alliance! Right! Is it possible to have sex in armour?
Sex in armour is easy. Unfortunately, it doesn't make you any better at it. Right, hun?
Yes, the infamous rape of Ugraine scene. You know what I find most interesting and maybe a little bit disturbing about this scene? Ugraine is played by Katrine Borman. That's the daughter of the director, John Borman. I mean, I knew he was a weirdo, but directing your daughter in a rape scene? Ugh.
Now another point I'd like to bring up as far as copulation in armor is concerned is how quickly a person can put on and remove a full plate suit of armor. Probably a lot of people think that putting on and removing armor is a very slow and complicated process, but it's not so. I don't wish to sound fastidious or anything, but talking about my samurai armor, 16th century Tosei Gusoku, it only takes me 4 minutes and 30 seconds to put it on and be battle ready, and it takes me only 1 minute and 40 seconds to remove it, and I know for a fact that I could speed it up a little. Hence, considering a 15th or 16th century full plate harness, Western European full plate harness, it would probably take you around 10 minutes to put it on, roughly speaking, and be battle ready, and it would only take you around 3 to 4 minutes to remove it. Now, considering the possibility of leaving greaves and sabatons on, as they present no impediment for sexual intercourse, I would imagine that you could be battle ready in just a couple of minutes.
So you can see in this, in the castle, there's torches everywhere. How true is this to real life?
No, they didn't have torches in the medieval period. This is modern technology. It uses electricity. Why would you ask us if they had torches? Oh. Unless you're referring to fire torches. And now I feel stupid, don't I? Okay, those type of torches. Well, yeah, of course they exist in the medieval period, and they existed far before the medieval period. Anyone who figured out that fire on the end of a stick produced light could be useful, well, yeah, that they existed since then. But were they used as the primary light source inside dwellings? No. No. And you know why? They don't last very long. It baffles me why torches are used. Well, in fact, I think the reason why torches are used so often in movies and other things like that is because they look pretty cool. Okay, this big bit of fire on a wall in a sconce, that looks cool. But in terms of practicality and usefulness, it is stupid, okay? It doesn't last long at all. You know the thing that they used for internal light? Candles. Yeah, candle. Pretty straightforward, easy, very useful, and they could last a very long time. Now, there are some cases where I think a torch would be preferable over a candle because a torch could produce more light, and that was if you're outside. If you're going outside and you knew you weren't going to be outside for very long, well then a nice big torch could be quite useful. But holding it in front of you like this, that will light blind you. You wouldn't be able to see anything past the torch, and so people are like, who's there? Well, no wonder they can't see who's there, because they're blinded by the torch. You would actually hold the torch like this, behind your head or above like this, where the light would shine past your eyes forward and then you'd be able to see. But something that was actually even a bit more useful than a torch outside was a lantern. So yes, candles, lanterns, and even lamps, oil lamps, they existed.
These are the coolest things in the world. And have you ever seen any examples of those, and are they that big? That seems ridiculously oversized, but that is a cool piece of armour. Does it exist?
Oh look, Swordbreaker pauldrons. I have Swordbreaker pauldrons. I actually really like the design of these. I think they look really cool. They were actually in existence in the Middle Ages. There was definitely a lot of experimentation that happened, but I think you saw a lot more of this kind of thing in things like tournaments, where you needed a little bit of extra protection. But honestly, they actually have some downsides, such as a place someone can grip, get leverage on your upper body. You don't necessarily always want that, but I do think they look really cool.
Haute pieces, so the guards that you typically see on shoulder armor in fantasy movies. They existed historically, but again, in fantasy movies, they're usually very exaggerated, and they're usually kind of in the wrong spot. Normally, in a lot of fantasy, you see the haute guards kind of way out on the 9 and 3 o'clock positions. On a lot of historical armors, 16th century armors, which is where we see them, they're usually kind of skewed a little bit more towards the front, and they're not quite as tall as a lot of the ones that we see in fantasy. And the reason that they exist is because 16th century cavalry, a common thing that they would face are pike lines and other lancers. And, well, those haute guards are a great way to deflect a pike away from your head or face and glance it off the armor.
Did knights ever carry shields when they were that armoured? What's the point of having a shield if you're that armoured? Or was it the case that by this point shields were out of date and they're no longer used in that respect? So why there does he have a shield if he's so armoured?
I can answer this one for you, Antony, and indeed shields were used with plate armour. And the reasons come down to this. You are not invulnerable in plate armour. Now don't get me wrong. Plate armour, full plate, will protect you to a very large degree, but even with this incredible armour, you are still very vulnerable to certain types of weapons. Specifically maces, warhammers, halberds, poleaxes, and lances from on horseback. I don't care if you're wearing armour, getting hit with one of these things is going to hurt, especially on the head. So therefore, with these weapons that were still dangerous for the man in armour, you would want something to protect yourself, and that's where the shield comes in. And what you will find about these shields is that they're actually quite thick, meaning that they are made to try and absorb or deflect these big, dangerous weapons.
Is there anything anywhere in medieval society that is a skull cap like this? Merlin's skull cap, total fantasy I presume, but is there anything like that?
Merlin's skull cap. So the closest thing I can think of historically would be the iron skull cap, the secret helm, or the Cervelier, whatever you want to call it. But basically it's an iron skull cap fitted closely to the head, and it was typically worn either under a mail coif, over a mail coif, in conjunction with a great helm as a secondary helmet underneath there. But they're very commonly depicted. There's a couple historical survivals, but nothing quite so stylized like we see in the movie.
We thank you, Medieval Mythbusters, for helping Antony understand the movie Excalibur. What? He has more questions? Will he ever understand the movie Excalibur? Follow the links to part 2 to find the answer to this very important question. More important than global warming? More important than your mother's birthday? More important than the pending alien invasion that is about to attack and destroy the Earth? Priorities, people! We hope to see you there.